Hey folks, Troy Dooley, the Beachside CEO. I'm getting my voice back. Hope I get it back soon. I'm going to be shooting videos again tomorrow for some clients. And it's interesting. I've been on the road for, it seems like the last 3 or 4 weeks. I was in Franklin, Tennessee, speaking at the Direct Selling Edge Conference to just a great room of entrepreneurs that are wanting to launch a business. Then I went to Salt Lake City and met with a startup, a brand new direct selling company that's going to launch in March. And then I met with a well-established company, but my mentor actually is the CEO of that company. He's a professor in business at the University of Utah and wrote a book. And I got to invest some quality time with him and did a video. It was wonderful. And then I came down here to Miami, and throughout the last 3 weeks, the same question has come up. Troy, what sets apart a company from startup to an iconic company? And I said, in all the years that I've studied businessmen and women, and all the years that I've studied the cycle that businesses go through, I said the one thing that stands out is the communication of the leaders. The leaders of companies, whether they're the founders or the CEO, if that's a different person, there's somebody in the company that's constantly communicating where the company is at, what stages it's going through. They're able to communicate the purpose and the mission of what the company stands for. I said those companies in every sector that have started out strong but then faltered and did not become that iconic symbol, stopped communicating and connecting with the heart of the people that they were there to serve. And I've gone through some different situations lately where I've seen what started out to be great companies start to falter a little bit. And as I've looked, that same principle has rung true. First, they stop communicating usually with some of their own employees. They stop communicating with their vendors and their consultants, and then they stop communicating with the leaders in their field. And when you stop the communication, it causes people to let their imagination run wild. And when the imagination runs wild and there's not a story, then people's minds will make up that story. So the perception becomes reality. And as I narrowed it back, because people said, okay, why would people stop communicating? I said they usually take their eye off the ball. They don't stay true to the purpose in which they decided to launch their company. When you look at the great brands that are out there that have become iconic symbols of society, you look at Apple Computer. When you look at the Apple, I have an iPhone, and probably you guys have an iPhone, but the I in iPhone stands for individual. So even though we share the same iPhone, my experience is a little different because I've got a leather case around mine. Other companies like Harley-Davidson, they built communities where they could bring people together because of an American-made product. They said, look, let's have our independence, let's have our freedom. And they created something where every year thousands of people drive to Sturgis, and some of them are CEOs, some of them are celebrities, some of them are just 1% bikers, but they go up there with the one common cause, and that is they're on an American piece of iron. And you may say, but Troy, what's that really have to do with starting our own business or starting even in the direct selling arena? And I have some friends they're independent professionals in the field, and they're building their own legacies, if you will. And it's been fun to watch because they've started to create something that I think could become iconic. And it's not that they're a big corporation, but they're connected at the heart level with other leaders. So when you build communities like that, you can create movements. And that's what happens. Think back a few years ago when we were growing up, we would pay 50 cents for a cup of coffee. And then comes Howard Schultz with this massive idea of making Starbucks a third place in people's lives. And the next thing you know, people have no problem paying $5-6 for a custom blend of coffee so that they can hang out with their friends and family at a Starbucks. And sometimes these friends were just strangers a few minutes more. See, I think that's what we all have to look at and we all have to hone in on. If you want to succeed in any niche, whether it's in the franchising business, it's in the direct selling business, maybe you want to create and you're an inventor and you want to be a first adapter and put something together, then I think there's two major things that you have to do. Number one, you've got to have that purpose, that why, that you can look at and say, we're going to be able to connect with people and we're going to be able to change the world. And then number two, and I think this is just as critical, not only do you have to communicate your message in the good times, but you've got to be able to communicate the message in the bad times. Don't blow smoke. Don't hype things up. Don't lie to people. Don't pretend that things are good when they're not. Just hone in and focus on where you're going. And I guarantee you what'll happen is you'll surround yourself with a group of people that believe in what you believe in. No matter what level, there's no matter of fact, there's a story John Maxwell shares, and let's see if I can find it, because it's really interesting, because it talks about position, and I think no matter what position you're at, this is what you have to understand, that the position's a myth. So you could be at the very top and say, oh no, I can't pass negatives down. Well, you're not passing negatives. You're giving people hope when you share with them the truth. Hey, we're going through some struggles, but we're going to come out on the other side together. I think that's great. That's a positive message. We just seen Herbalife do that whenever they were accused of being a Ponzi scheme. Their CEO, Michael Johnson, didn't set back. He said, get on the horn and let's take this fight to them. Sometimes you have to do that. His people rallied around him. He didn't take his eye off the ball when some leaders decided to jump ship. He honed in and he went true. I saw another friend of mine the other day, BK Barreco, on one of his videos. He had a situation where they were growing real fast and people were calling into customer service and they were on hold for a long time. You know what he did? He did a video and he said, listen folks, it's sunshiny in Phoenix. Don't call your upline, because we're tearing out the walls and we're hiring new people, but it's going to be a while. You face what's going on. John Maxwell writes this. He says, if you had to identify the number one misconception people have about leadership, it would be the belief that leadership comes simply from having a position or a title. And I bring that up because if you're in a selling business of any kind, and you're in the field, and you're not getting communication from the corporate offices, from the executives, and all of a sudden you seem to be cold-walled, here's what you do. You start communicating even more so with your team. You draw that line in the sand and say, I believe in this company and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to fight hard for it because I believe in what's going on, all the way up to where that line is drawn. And if by the time that line is hit, you haven't gotten any communication, you haven't gotten any answers that you're looking for as the leader of your team, the people that you brought to the company, then you need to let them know, look, I'm not getting the answers or I would give them to you. And because I'm not getting them, I've lost a little bit of the trust. You may still respect the leaders, but you may have lost the trust. And when that happens, it's time for you to protect the organization that has come to look at you as the leader. So many times we've been told, go down with the ship. Don't ask questions, just believe. I don't think that's what makes great countries, and I do not think that's what makes great sales organizations. You are a leader, and leaders learn to lead no matter which way the wind is blowing, no matter which way the ship is going, no matter if it's taken on water, you still have to lead. So whether you're at the top of the food chain, if you will, or you're at the bottom, you're the individual leader. If you're the CEO, the buck stops with you. And if you're an independent professional, you are your own CEO. So the buck stops with you. Folks, live life like it's an epic adventure. Stay dangerous, stay strong. And if you're in network marketing, act like it.